Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First, I would like to thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity to talk about laparoscopy simulation. I'm a doctor from a developing country, and in these countries we have a limited access to surgery. In fact, two-thirds of the world's population have no access to safe and affordable surgery. In addition, more than 2 billion people are unable to receive surgical care. Finally, inadequate access to surgery kills nearly 17 million people each year, more than the total deaths from HIV, tuberculosis, and malaria combined. On the other hand, as we can see on this map, we have a striking inequality in access to surgery between countries. While in developed countries more than 10,000 surgical interventions are carried out per year, in some developing countries this number drops below 500. In the same context, 60% of surgical procedures are performed for only 15% of the world's population. Given this situation, the question is, can endoscopy be one of the solutions? As you know, laparoscopy has a lot of advantages, but these advantages are more evident in these countries, as we have fewer hospital beds, poor sanitation, lack of blood banks, and limited diagnostic imaging. Laparoscopy can provide adequate solutions to all these problems because it improves recovery time, reduces perioperative complications, reduces postoperative infection rates, decreases blood loss, and it is a good diagnostic tool. Unfortunately, the adoption of laparoscopy in developing countries is still sporadic and minimal. The obstacles are multiple, really. The main obstacle is the economic condition, given the high cost of laparoscopic technologies and the high cost of maintaining the equipment. And secondly, the lack of expertise or training. Although surgeons are interested in adopting laparoscopic techniques in their practices, most of them lack formal training in laparoscopy. In fact, in these countries we observe a rising number of surgical residents, the low number of tutors, in addition to the shortage of equipment, lack of financial support. It's not surprising then that laparoscopic training in developing countries is not highly rated. Only 3.3% of surgeons consider it optimal. In this context, simulation can be the solution. Simulation has become standard in many surgical training programs all over the world, thanks to its advantages. In fact, simulation is a standardized method. It respects individual trainees' capacity, and the skills can be built gradually in terms of complexity. These advantages are more evident in developing countries where we have a rising number of surgical residents, leading to a decrease in the time spent in the operating room, the low number of tutors, who are most of the time overwhelmed, therefore not always available. Finally, people are unwilling to be operated on by junior residents. Unfortunately, the adoption of simulation is still minimal. The economic challenges have not allowed the simulation to become a teaching tool in low and middle income countries. The question is, should developing countries copy the same simulation methods? or adapt the simulation to the country with low economic resources. Commercial simulators are widely in use. They have lots of advantages. Most importantly, they are compact, ergonomic, and most of them are validated, and no one can deny that. But they are costly, they are hard to afford, especially for young surgeons and small medical centers. In addition, the range of exercises is sometimes limited. Given all these barriers, surgeons in developing countries found themselves obliged to look for other solutions. One of them is to develop their own simulators. Now, what are the main characteristics of these simulators? According to the literature, there are many characteristics, and we will focus on the most important ones, which are accessibility, capacity, and efficiency. First, they are accessible to any personal budget. Items used to create the simulator. The simulated tasks are generally cheap and can be easily found. In addition, most laparoscopic instruments necessary for training are disposable, expired, reformed, and can be constructed with a minimum of skills. In fact, there are many examples available on YouTube. Now I'd like to focus on the main characteristic, which is the capacity. Despite their low cost, non-commercial trainers allow training in basic laparoscopic skills to be practiced, such as instrument navigation, coordination, grasping, lifting, cutting, clip application, or intracorporeal knot suturing. Now, moreover, they allow to perform the key part of surgical operations to be performed. Several examples are available depending on the surgical specialties. Now, what about efficiency? To answer this question, we will focus on ongoing meta-analysis. Now, the purpose was, in fact, of this meta-analysis to compare commercial video laparoscopic trainers with less expensive, simple trainers. It evaluated how they differ in facilitating the acquisition of laparoscopic skills in surgical trainings as measured by laparoscopic task completion time. A comprehensive, systematic search of literature was performed. This meta-analysis was done to compare post-training performance times between video and simple laparoscopic trainers for the two following tasks: suturing and object transfer. The authors found no statistically significant difference in task completion time. And the conclusion is, video and simple laparoscopic trainers are equally proficient in facilitating the acquisition of laparoscopic skills, suggesting that simple laparoscopic trainers may be a cost-effective alternative. In addition to all these characteristics, homemade simulators have specific advantages. Since they are self-made, they are inexpensive, and therefore we can give one simulator per trainer during competition for training time, and trainers have the possibility to use them outside the institution. On the other hand, since they have a self-made design, the range of exercises is only limited by the imagination. Now I'd like to talk to a little bit about my personal experience. Due to the lack of financial support and the increasing need for training in laparoscopy, 20 years ago we started with this simple box. which we improved over the years. We have developed our own simulator that you can see on this slide. We started with a simple box trainer and we improved it over the years until we have reached this model, which gives us an HD picture. Another advantage is that the height of the screen of the box trainer is adjustable to the surgeon. In addition, we can increase the range of exercises. This is our latest model, which enables the training of the main skills required. In addition to this, all the components used to make the simulator are affordable and available. As you can see, the main components of our simulator are cheap and easily accessible. Even for animal models, many healthcare institutions in low and middle income countries attempt to use available cheap animal models. For the same reason, we opted for the use of goats as an animal model. To sum up this part, so far the most important conclusions we can make are, as you have seen, every country or center has to adapt its training to its economic and human resources. The use of local available resources can be the solution, and we should not take the lack of resources as an excuse for not providing training in endoscopic surgery. In this context, technological advances will help us in designing new, cheaper training tools. We will focus on innovations that will have a great impact on simulation in developing countries. The first one is the use of the smartphone, which we think will revolutionize endoscopic simulation. In fact, the smartphone can replace the camera and the screen to carry out procedures. The smartphone is equipped with a highly sophisticated camera which gives us high quality pictures. Pictures can be transferred to any screen. Now I'd like to remind you that some smartphones have high quality pictures such as 4K. Moreover, the first professional film performed with an iPhone won an award in the famous festival of Deauville in France. The second device I'd like to talk about is the USB endoscopic camera. The use of a USB camera enables us to mimic actual endoscopy while being much cheaper and easier to connect. Now, in fact, it offers the following advantages. First one is the low cost. It is extremely cheap. Second one is the easy connection to any smartphone, PC, and its high mobility. In addition to these tools, touch surgery can have an important position in surgical training. Now, the third is the use of touch surgery application, which is an interactive surgical application which guides us through the different steps of the surgical procedures. In the last slide, I'd like to sum up the most important points. Surgery has evolved with laparoscopy from a discipline based on manual dexterity to another highly technical and technological. Developing countries face challenges that require first greater efforts in innovation. In addition, the adaptation of their training methods and surgical techniques to the local pathology and economic and human resources, while respecting the spirit of laparoscopy as conceived by the pioneers Manhas, Brohart, and May. Thank you for your attention.